Hello everyone, it's Kathy Schmidt, the Backyard Stamper, and tonight I am going to be doing some watercoloring using a new stamp set called Mixed Florals, and this will be in our new spring catalog that will be going live on January 7th. So, many of you probably watched my video when I did the watercoloring for my daughter's thank you notes, and I also did a little bird, and I just love watercoloring. So I do it kind of different than a normal watercolorist, possibly, because I like to use more of a dry technique than a total wet technique. So the colored pencils work great if that's how you like to do it. Tonight I'm going to show you the difference between both the colored pencils and using the ink refill. So I will turn my camera down and we'll get started. Okay. I just want to make sure that there isn't feedback. So if you're here, please let me know if you hear an echo. All right, so these are what I've been playing around with. So I have this one here I did with colored pencils, and this one I did using the re-inkers. Plus I have some Wink Estella on this one. And then this one I did with the colored pencils as well. And then I started this one earlier using the re-inkers. So I will say one of the biggest differences between using the colored pencils and the re-inkers is you need to allow a little bit more drying time when you're using the re-inkers. And that's because the paint is very watered down. So you really need to let each section dry before you go on. And with the pencils, you'll see you can color the whole thing, and then you're just touching a wet brush to each area. So you'll have to tell me which one you like best. Okay, so we're doing the mixed florals, and I've already done two different tulips, one with the re-inkers and the other with the colored pencils. So I wanted to do the sunflower, so I have this one done with the colored pencils, which I'm going to show you, but I also want to add some more to this one using the watercoloring, and then while that's drying we'll switch back. You have to have a lot of patience when you're doing watercoloring. So for my watercolor pencils, I am using this older set. I can tell it's old because it has the Bermuda Bay and Pacific Point in it, and those colors, and rich raspberry, and those colors are not current right now, but it's what I had, and I still have the markers from way back when they were or the pencils way back 20 years ago. So my collection of watercolor pencils has grown, and you know, this is a chance to use what you have. So let's see here. Now I'm using the Stampin' Up! Fluid 100 watercolor paper. This is a pack that comes in 10 sheets. They're 5 by 7, and what I've done is cut it down to just in half. So it was 3.5 by 5, and then I cut it another 1/4 inch. So it's 3 1/4. I'm sorry, wait a minute. No, sorry. Okay, so it's 3 1/2. And I cut a 1/4 inch off up here so that when I go to do my layering, it was even all the way around. So if it's 3 1/2 and 4 3/4, then you can do your layering at 5 and 3 3/4, and then you'll have this nice edge. Okay, so what I did was, this glass mat is perfect when you're watercoloring too. You don't have to worry about your desk getting messy. Okay. So what I'm going to do is use basic gray, and this is an older basic gray. Back a long time ago, we had archival black and archival basic gray. So that's what this is, and that is a water resistant ink. So I'm going to use that to do my stamping. Got to give it some good thumb pressure. Okay, so that's done. And on this one, this is the one I did with the watercolor pencils. This whole middle section didn't stamp right. And so I just filled it in, you know, and if you need the outline, you can take a pencil and draw it in, because that's what a watercolorist usually does, is have pencil drawing. So if you need the edging to fix, just use a pencil. All right, so here's my watercolor, my sunflower, and this is the one I started earlier. So I'm going to switch back and forth. This is going to be my pencil, and this is going to be my paint. And for the painting, I made a little swatch. So I have Daffodil Delight, Crushed Curry. This is Lemon Lime Twist, Old Olive, Balmy Blue, Azure Afternoon, Crumb Cake, and Early Espresso. It is really important to do a little swatch so that you know what the colors are going to look like. So I'm just going to leave that right here. I'm going to zoom in so you won't be able to see much anyways, except just real close into the work setting. So let me zoom in and show you what we're doing. Okay, I feel like I got something underneath my glass mat. Let me just check here, because I did. It's rocking and rolling, and I don't like that. Okay, so I'm going to switch sides because my paint is over here. And so what I did was I have this little paint palette, and I put my colors in, my re-inker, just like 1 or 2 drops, and just added water to each one. And then I also have extra colors on my silicone mat. So I have quite a few colors to pick from. And with the paint, I'm going to use the smaller of the water painters versus this one here. And I just dip it into the water and tap it onto my, let me zoom out for a minute. What I do is I dip it into my water, and I just blot it on my paper towel. So those are sitting right next to me, and they'll be off the camera. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I have some of the Daffodil Delight and the crushed curry already in, but I need to darken. And this is where I said I like a dry technique. So what I'm going to do is keep my brush on the drier side so that I can get in and create a little bit of shadow areas. And basically I'm just kind of going down one side of my, is this a Brown-Eyed Susan, I'm going to call it, because that's the color I chose. So I have a little bit like that. Ooh, that helps. All right, and then I'm going to switch areas and come down here and do the same thing down here. And I'm trying to just add a little bit of dark in different spots. Dark meaning crushed curry is darker than Daffodil Delight. That's all I meant. Okay, so you can see that that already changed the look a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to use a little bit of the Azure Afternoon and just kind of do my center of the flowers a little bit. And just add so it's not flat. So I'm actually doing a little bit along one side. And they tend to dry a lot lighter than what it looks like when you're putting it on. So keep that in mind when you're going. And I did notice when I did my tulips, whoops, that one's a little dark. I noticed that if you work it too much, it changes the look of the paper. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so I feel like this one I worked just the right amount. You can see light areas and dark areas, and even the greenery has some shadows. This one I feel like I worked too much. It's like you can tell, like in this I lost some of my definition. My stems aren't quite right. So you just have to, you know, go slow and stop. When you think it's done, it's probably done. So what I want to do now is with the green, I did put in some of the lemon lime twist earlier, so now I'm going to just kind of come in with some of the old olive. And this is where that smaller paintbrush really helps. And if you get too much water, just dab your brush off on your paper towel and then dab your dry brush into your water, or your paint, I mean. So we're going to just work our way around the areas that I already did, and then we'll set those down to dry, and we'll switch over to the colored pencil one, and we'll just keep switching back and forth. Okay. And I know I missed this blue one, but because I just went in there with the yellow, I didn't do anything that was touching something because I need to let that dry. Okay, so I'm going to come in with my crumb cake. Oops, I just did what I told you not to do. What I like about crumb cake is it has a little bit of a greenish tone to it. So the stems, you know, kind of blend in with the leaves, and that's great. So I'm actually taking a little bit of lemon lime twist, and I'm going to just kind of spot it through that crumb cake and blend some different colors that way. All right, so that one I'm going to let sit for a minute. Let me pull the light a little bit closer. There. Is that a little brighter for you? And we'll show you how that's looking. All right, I'm going to set that right there. Now I'm going to, let me just clean off my brush because I'm going to use that same brush. And here I have my bin of watercolors, pencils, and I'm going to just start coloring in. And the way I like to think about it is I'm going to color heavy where I want it to be the darkest. So I want it to kind of come out from the close to the center there. And with the watercolor pencils, you can watercolor the whole thing, even if you're not paint, and still paint section by section. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to take my early espresso, and again I'm going to color the whole thing, and then when it dries I'm going to come in with a dry pencil and just dot it back up. Alright, and then my old olive, I'm going to go light on the stems, okay, and then I'm going to go heavier on the leaves. Again, right where I put the shadow, like on the vein, and then at the maybe the base of the leaf, I'm going to go darker. Okay, let me just check something really quickly. Okay. I'm just going to check to see if, check on my computer to make sure that I'm live. So hold the phone just a minute. Just want to make sure that you're seeing me. The new method that I'm using with the hand cam and the face cam is still a little new to me. So, okay, I see it. Great. Okay, so let me switch back. Okay. Alrighty. Everything looks good. So, thank you for your patience. Okay, so let me finish my coloring. So this is Pacific Point, and I don't have an azure afternoon, although this kind of looks like it in a pinch, so that's what we're going with. And again, I am just coloring a quick scribble color because that's how I'm going to make sure that I have the randomness of it. Okay. Let me move that out of the way and let me see. Does that help at all with the lighting? I'll get the light out of the camera. There. I think that works, right? There. Okay. So here is my penciled area. Now before we start, let's check on our watercolor area. This is doing really good. And what I want to do now is I am going to do a little mixing of my colored pencil and my paint. We'll see what that does. Big water bubble. So the reason I haven't been filling my water painters is because I was having trouble controlling the water a little bit. So I just use them empty. So you can use any paintbrush that you want. And what I want to do is kind of soften it a little bit. And I know I just went outside the line, but that's what watercoloring is, more fluid than it looks right now. It's a little flat looking. Okay, and let's see what this will look like with the brown. And I'm okay with a little bit of that dark coming in and kind of spreading underneath. Because I'm actually going to darken it quite a bit up here. Yeah, I like that. That is exactly what I was trying to do. Okay, so let's do a little bit of shadow. This is Early Espresso ink refill, watered down. And I'm just coming in while it's wet and adding a little bit of shadows there. Okay, I'm going to set that aside, and when I'm done, I'm going to come back in with the crushed curry. Let me just check it right now, actually. I'm just adding some crushed curry to make sure that Early Espresso is well blended. Oh, I like the way that's looking. So in the process of going back over it, I'm actually lifting some of the extra color of the Early Espresso because that got a little dark in spots. And that's okay that I'm lifting it because there, that looks, see the difference? It was very flat before. All right, I'm setting it aside. Now we're coming back to here. I've watercolored I've colored in with my colored pencils everywhere. So I am going to just take a wet paintbrush and start coloring. And you don't have to dip it back into the water very often, just to clean your brush. And so what you want to do is pull from the areas where you've colored the darkest. And you actually don't have to hit every area. So some of it will stay relatively pretty dark, you know, and other areas will get lighter and lighter. So I'm just going to pull some of this color down. As you pull it down, it looks more and more like the daffodil color, even though that's the crushed curry color. Oh no, yes, wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is Daffodil Delight. Okay. All right, so there. All right, and so now I'm just going to clean my brush off, and I'm going to hit some of the blue. And again, very fluid, very organic. Don't touch any of the yellow areas. You don't want to mix our colors. So I'm staying away from any of the blues that are next to my yellows. So like I did not paint this one right here. Okay. And I think I can hit a couple leaves and then we'll switch back to the other one. See what I mean about you really need to have some patience when you're doing this. But I absolutely love this technique. I think it's soothing. And you can actually work on several at the same time because you're just, you know, doing, you got to allow the dry time. So, and I like that because if I'm going to do it for a swap, I'm going to be working on multiple cards anyways, or I very rarely make only one card at a time. I'm almost always making, you know, extra cards. So let me see here. What I want to do with my green is I just want to, and I don't think I'm going to paint these, I just want to color them a little bit of green. The stems. So I'm just giving it a little bit of a different color, but I didn't wet those areas. That's coming out really nice. Okay, so let's come back to this one. This one got really dark and it overbled, which is fine because, you know, with watercolor you can come in with a wet brush and actually kind of erase, if you will, some areas and then blot it, and that's fine. Okay, so let's do our stem here. And this is the crumb cake. Mixed in with a little bit of the green. There. Okay, and I need to come back into my early espresso and darken it up right there at the top. See, because that was wet right there, it ran in towards my flower. And I think I can hit this blue one. That's the last blue one here. Okay, so let me set that aside. Come back to this one, and while my brush has some blue on it, I'm just gonna kind of go around one side of these flowers and add a little dimension to them. And I'm keeping my brush on the dry side. So I'm dipping it into the re-inker almost as if it's full strength. Okay, I like that. I really like the way that flower came out this time. And I think I want to add just a little bit more green to my leaves. The other colors are so pretty. I'm going to lighten up my... Oh, I'm painting and I'm supposed to be watercoloring. I'm going to add just a little bit more color at the base here. This one's going to be done, because that's the thing, you gotta just stop when it looks like it's not done because the next thing you know, you've overworked it. Okay, so I'm gonna say that one's done for now. Let me bring this one in, and then now I'm gonna switch to my bigger brush, and I'm gonna do this like wash around the outside. And this is still a little wet, so I'm going to make sure I don't come too close. And this is really watered down balmy blue that I'm using. Very watered down. And you don't have to do this part, but I think it helps frame the watercolor. And it just really makes it look pretty, I think. Because it's a lot of white, you know, in the watercolor paper, like with this image. If you don't have something else on there, it almost looks like it's too white. Because I don't have anything popped up, I guess that's why. I'm going to make my work of art pop by using my wash. Okay, see, that's all you need. See the difference between the white and the washed? I definitely think it needs the wash, so I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to wash this side now. Even though this was my watercolored one, you don't do a wash with the watercolored pencils. There's no way to, if you tried to even lightly color with it, you would see your lines because it's just too large of an area. And the thing with watercoloring is they're never going to look the same. So they'll look very similar, but they're not going to look the same because you can't control everything about the water. You can try, and we do try, but okay. I think that one's done too. So now let me show you what my next step was. So these are going to set aside to dry. Let me unzoom for a minute. All right, so I've got these two sitting here to dry. And see, all three of them came out looking a little different. So what I'm going to do is, now I have my tulips from before, and this one here has the ladybugs from the stamp set. They're super cute, but they didn't really work well with the watercoloring. So it was hard to get them to be dark enough to see, but still see their detail. because I was going over where there was green. I hadn't stamped them, and what I should have done, if you're going to do the ladybugs, stamp them at the same time as you stamp these others, and then when you do your green, go around that section so that you can come in with a little bit of red. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to just move these up here. And what I did was I took a half a sheet of the Azure Afternoon and I scored it and folded. And then I mounted Fresh Freesia on this one because that was the ink refill that I had used, was the Fresh Freesia. And I'm actually going to just trim that little side. It's not quite even and it's bothering me. So I'm going to use my baby trimmer. And I'm just going to get a smidge off of that side. There. And that's nothing like kind of shredding your paper while you're chopping. Okay, so I have that. And then I'm going to just mount it. Now I'm using glue because everything was so, when I glued the watercolor paper down to the Fresh Freesia, I mean, it made it kind of heavy. So I'm going to use glue again to, I just want to make sure that those are lined up. There, okay. So I did a nice, I really like that blue. It makes it pop. And then what I do is I take my block and I set it down on top and let that really dry. So let's see how these are doing. And I think these are dry enough. I can get away with doing that. So let's bring in some Old Olive. And I'm going to cut that at, let's see, what am I going to do? They're still damp, so I'm going to glue them down, but I really need to let them dry. So let's see, I'm going to do 5 by 3 3/4. That's going to give me, whoops, a 1/2 inch on all the way around. So we'll do them both like that. And so there's my layering piece, and I need to get my Azure Afternoon. Okay, and so when you do a portrait card that has this top fold like this, you really have to score it. You can't cheat on that. So what we're going to do is score it at 5.5. And turn it and cut at 4 1/4. There. So now I have 2 that fold. The paper, the fibers it's against the grain. So if you don't score that, it's going to crack your paper and you will notice it. Okay, so I'm going to put this side to the back because I got a little ink splotchy there, which is fine. And let's just make sure those corners kiss. All right, so now I'm going to, this one's going to go like that. See how it's got a nice border all the way around, and then this one too. So I've got my watercolor card is going to go like that, and my water pencil watercolored card is going to go like that. All right, so like so. And I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece down too, and then I'm going to put my ink block on top. Like so. And I'm going to take that block and put it right down on it and scooch it up so I can work on this one. So tell me, have you tried watercoloring? And have you tried watercoloring with your stamps? So what I did is I forgot to cut my 1/4 inch off. So you know, because I put glue there, I'm going to fussy cut it. So wish me luck. Okay, pretty good, pretty good. All right, so the glue was right on the edge of my watercolor paper. All right, got a little bit of ooze there because it was so close after I cut it, but that's all right. Once it dries clear, and it might be a little sticky, but I'll take my adhesive eraser and clean it up. And I'm going to take this one and put that on. Okay, so let me just put the cap on my glue and recap for you while those are setting up for a minute or two. So I've got my my picture done, and I've got these brass dragonflies and brass butterflies. So what I want to do with this one is I still want to wink a Stella. I think it looks really pretty when you wink a Stella, even over the watercolor. It's fine. So I'm just going to hit that. I love wink a Stella. Oh, let me zoom in so you can see better. All right, so I've got that like so. Pretty much the whole thing got wink a Stella. And then let me do the wink a Stella on this watercolored tulip. So this one is Melon Mambo color on the pencil, and this is Fresh Freesia. So that's why they do look different, because they're different colors. But I really like how some of the tulips stayed white because I was just keeping it light-handed, and That's what you need to do to make it look realistic, is leave areas of white. You know, we have a new kit now too that has watercoloring in it, and it comes with the a set of watercolor pencils too. So if you want to give it a try, the kit is it's in the online exclusives at my Stampin' Up store, kathyschmidt.stampinup.net. There, I think you can see that. And check out the kit. All right, so let's see how our ones that are drying are doing. Oh, they look good. Okay, so now, which do you like better? Do you like this one that's water painted, watercolored with the reinkers, or the one that has watercolor pencils? Now, granted, they are different because this one is much lighter. I can come in with my pencil and darken some of it. And let me just make sure my brush is dry. And I'm just going to smooth some of that out. Oh, and you know what? I know what else I needed to do. I want to come in with my early espresso pencil and add these daisy dot, or the little dots back. And I'm not going to watercolor them in. I'm just going to leave them. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Now, if you need your watercolor pencils, the tip to get sharpened, do not use an electric pencil sharpener. Ask me how I know. I put mine in and it went all the way down. Oh my gosh. So what you want to do is use like a makeup pencil sharpener, eye pencil sharpener, because it's soft, so the electric sharpener was way too harsh. Okay, oh, I need my butterflies. Let's see, where did I put those? Right here. Okay, so we're going to put butterflies and dragonflies. All right, so I want to do a big one and a little one, kind of following. And then I'm going to put one on this side too, because I got plenty of room over here. There. And with these, I might not put a sentiment on the outside. If I do, it's going to be something small on like a circle. But I really am thinking I don't want a sentiment on the outside. All right, and let's put some butterflies on this one too, because I need to cover up a couple of little ink spots. And we'll do that over here. There. And I have not Wink-a-Stellaed it, but let's see how that looks if I Wink-a-Stella. And what did I do with my Wink-a-Stella? Here it is. Okay. So I'm going to hit my blues. Just in case some of it is getting picked up by the Wink-a-Stella, I am going to stick with all the same color first. I really like how these flowers came out where I just was very random. And, you know, with my dark color right here. I just kind of squiggled it in, but it looks very realistic. Okay, and then I'm just going to wipe my Wink of Stella pen off before I switch to the yellow, just to make sure I didn't have anything on there. And I'll come over and do this one. Oh yeah, you can really, this shows up better because it's on the darker. We'll do that and that. And then let me just do the leaves real quick. And the stem. So the whole thing will have the wink. There. And see what I mean about the shadowing or the wash around the outside. You know, it looks kind of dark when you're putting it on, but it quickly fades when it's drying. But it's just enough to take the stark white away from the outside. So, do you love it? Let's show all of them that I've done. Here's my sunflowers, or brown-eyed Susans, and my tulips. Oh, so pretty. Now, I normally don't buy a lot of flower sets because I really like the animals. But when I saw this set in the new catalog with these two big images, I knew I was going to watercolor it. So, and see the difference in how big these are? You have to have this size block, which is an F block. So it's the biggest block. So otherwise, but look at the image versus the size of the stamp. Quite a difference. I love when they're big like that because you really, you know, it fills the whole paper. And yeah, all I did was add a layer, but here's the brown-eyed Susan. See the difference in the size? I'll put them next to each other like that. So quite a big difference. Love it. Oh, I have, on this one I haven't finished yet. So this one has the ladybug on it, but I got to put it on the blue yet. So leave me a comment. Leave me a comment and tell me what you think. And please like my channel or like my video, subscribe to my channel. It really helps me, and it also helps me if you can share the video with your friends. So yeah, so I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. I'm really looking forward to my kids being home and seeing my family. My kids all live out of state, so I don't get to see them as often. So yeah, so have a wonderful Christmas, and let me know if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, if you would like me to send you the mini catalog and the celebration catalogs. I'll pop it right in the mail to you. Just let me know if you need one. You can private message me or actually email me at backyardstamper@gmail.com. So thanks again for watching. I appreciate all of you. Have a wonderful night.